If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. Ladies and gentlemen, look at your life. Look at the dreams you've tucked away in the closet of someday. Most people take their greatness to the grave with them. They die with the music still inside because they were too busy being comfortable. They were too busy avoiding the sting of discipline. But I want to ask you something, and I want you to feel this in your spirit. Are you living a life that is truly yours? Or are you living a life that was assigned to you by your fears? I remember a time when I was the label educable mentally retarded. That's what they called me. I lived in a world of limitations until a man named Mr. Washington looked at me and said, someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. That moment didn't just give me hope, it gave me a responsibility. It gave me the realization that if I wanted to change my circumstances, I had to change my conduct. I had to stop being a victim of my moods and start being a master of my habits. You see, discipline isn't a punishment. Discipline is the highest form of self-love. It is saying to yourself, I love you too much to let you stay where you are. The decision to command your morning and your mind. You have to understand that the battle for your soul, the battle for your future, and the battle for that dream you're carrying is won or lost in the first few moments of the day. Most people are waking up as a reaction to the world. They are startled into consciousness by an alarm clock that they hate. And the first thing they do is reach for a device that tells them what to worry about, who to envy, and why the world is falling apart. They start their day in a state of mental poverty. But if you want to walk the path of greatness, if you want to live a life of discipline, you have to realize that your mind is the most valuable piece of real estate on this planet, and you have to be the one to stand guard at the door. You cannot let any unauthorized personnel enter that space. You have to decide right now that you are going to be the captain of your own ship. I remember when I was struggling, when I was trying to find my way and people were looking at me like I was a failure. I realized that my outside world was a reflection of my inside world. I was messy inside, so my life was messy outside. I had to make a radical decision. I had to decide that before the world could tell me who I was going to tell myself who I was. This is where discipline begins. It's not in the gym, and it's not in the boardroom. It's in the quiet, dark hours of the morning when it's just you and the Creator. It's that moment when your bed is warm and the room is cold. And every fiber of your being is screaming at you to stay under the covers. That is the moment of truth. If you can't win the battle against a blanket, how do you expect to win the battle against the world? You see, discipline is the highest form of self-respect. When you make a promise to yourself and you keep it, you are building a reservoir of confidence that no one can take away from you. Most people are walking around with a broken spirit because they have lied to themselves so many times. They say they're going to start the diet. They say they're going to write the book. They say they're going to be a better parent. And then they don't do it. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you drain your power. But when you discipline your morning, when you get up and you feed your mind with something positive, when you speak life into your vision, before you speak to another human being, you are putting on your armor. You are saying, I am ready for the giants. I am ready for the storms. You have to be mission-driven, not mood-driven. This is the hardest lesson to learn. Your moods will lie to you. Your moods will tell you that you've done enough. Your moods will tell you that you're too tired. Your moods will tell you that it doesn't matter if you skip just one day. But greatness doesn't have a mood. Greatness has a schedule. Discipline is the ability to do the thing you said you were going to do long after the feeling you said it and has left you. You've got to get to the point where you don't even ask yourself how you feel anymore. You just do it because it's who you are. You have to develop a non-negotiable relationship with your goals. When I was starting out, I told myself I would practice my craft every single day, no matter what. There were days I was sick, days I was heartbroken, and days I was flat broke. But I didn't check my pulse to see if I felt like practicing. I checked my vision to see if I was still hungry. You have to realize that you are the only one who can do this for you. No one can do your push-ups for you. No one can read the books for you. No one can guard your mind for you. You have to be the one to say, the buck stops here. You have to take total responsibility for your mental climate. If you find yourself thinking negative thoughts, you've got to have the discipline to shut them down and replace them with something that serves you. You have to speak to yourself like a champion. You have to say, I am gifted, I am talented, I have something to contribute. I am a child of God, and I am here for a reason. This isn't just positive thinking. It is the disciplined management of your internal resources. It is choosing to focus on the promise instead of the problem. When you command your morning, you are setting the vibration for the entire day. You are telling the universe that you are a person of value and that your time is precious. You are claiming your territory. This kind of discipline creates a magnetic personality. People can sense when someone has a disciplined mind. They can see it in your eyes, they can hear it in your voice, and they can feel it in your presence. It's a quiet authority that comes from knowing you have conquered yourself. And let me tell you, once you have conquered yourself, the world has no choice but to get out of your way. It starts with one decision. It starts tomorrow morning. It starts with you taking back the throne of your mind and declaring that you are the master of your fate and the captain of your soul. The refining fire of necessary struggle, listen to me closely. You are going to have some dark nights of the soul. You are going to have moments where you feel like the very foundation of your life is shaking. And you'll look up at the ceiling in the middle of the night and ask, why me? But I want you to change that question. I want you to start asking, what is this trying to teach me? You see, discipline isn't just about the things you do when everything is going right. Anyone can be disciplined when the sun is shining, when the bank account is full, and when everyone is clapping for them. That's easy. But the real discipline, the kind that builds a character that can stand the test of time, is forged in the refining fire of struggle. It is the ability to maintain your integrity and your pace when it feels like the world is trying to crush the life out of you. You have to understand that struggle is not your enemy. Struggle is your instructor. It is the gym of the human spirit. You don't get physical muscles by lifting feathers. And you don't get spiritual or mental muscles by living a life of ease. You get them by lifting the heavy weights of disappointment, betrayal, and failure. Most people run from struggle. They see a challenge and they try to find the nearest exit. They want the prize without the process. They want the glory without the story. But I'm telling you, you need the struggle. You need the no's. You need the people who walk out on you. You need the moments when you are down to your last dime. Why? Because those are the moments that reveal who you really are. Discipline is the choice to stay in the fire until you are purified. It is the commitment to not come out until you smell like gold. I've been there. I've been in that place where I didn't know how I was going to make it. I remember being a young man labeled Unbreakable, mentally retarded, and feeling the weight of the world's low expectations. It was a struggle just to believe that I was worth more than a label. But I had to discipline my heart to ignore the evidence of my circumstances and lean into the evidence of my potential. I had to learn that the pain of the struggle is temporary, but the regret of quitting lasts forever. When you're going through a hard time, you have to tell yourself, this is not my destination, this is just a passage. You have to have a nevertheless kind of spirit. I am hurting, nevertheless I will keep moving. I am being criticized, nevertheless I will keep my head high. I am failing, nevertheless I will try again. Discipline in the midst of struggle means you don't let your emotions dictate your destiny. Your emotions are like the weather. They change from hour to hour. But your discipline must be like the climate. It must be steady and predictable. There will be days when you feel like you can't take another step. There will be days when the white behind your dream feels blurry and distant. In those moments, you don't need motivation, you need discipline. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going when the motivation has evaporated. You have to learn to be your own cheerleader. You have to learn to speak to your soul and say, self, we are not stopping here. We have an appointment with greatness, and a little bit of rain isn't going to cancel the meeting. The struggle is actually a filter. It's designed to weed out the people who don't really want it. There are millions of people who have good ideas, but only a handful who have the discipline to see those ideas through the valley of the shadow of death. The universe is testing you. It's asking, how bad do you want this? Do you want it enough to be embarrassed? Do you want it enough to be lonely? Do you want it enough to work while others are playing? If you can look the struggle in the eye and say, is that all you've got? Then you have entered the realm of the elite. You have to realize that the very thing that is trying to break you is actually trying to wake you up. It's trying to shake off the old habits and the old ways of thinking that can't exist in the place where you are going. Don't pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one with grace and discipline. When you come out on the other side of a struggle, you won't be the same person who walked in. You'll be stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. You'll have a story that can heal someone else. You'll have a light that can guide someone else out of their darkness. Your struggle is your platform. But you only get that platform if you have the discipline to stay the course. You've got to be like a postage stamp. Stick to one thing until you get there. Don't let the heat of the fire make you jump out of the furnace before the work is done. Hold your ground. Keep your vision. Maintain your discipline. Because on the other side of that struggle is a version of you that is absolutely unstoppable. The courage to edit your environment. If you want to live a life of discipline, you have to be willing to perform surgery on your social circle. This is perhaps the most painful part of the journey because it requires a level of emotional courage that most people simply don't possess. You have to realize that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You cannot expect to have $1 million vision while hanging out with people who have penny pinching mindsets. You cannot expect to soar like an eagle if you are busy pecking with the chickens. Discipline isn't just about what you do. It's about who you allow to influence your spirit. You have to understand that energy is contagious. If you are around people who are constantly complaining, people who are energy vampires, people who see a problem for every solution, eventually that poison will seep into your own veins. You will start to speak their language. Share their fears, and settle for their level of mediocrity. I had to learn this the hard way. When I started my journey, I had friends I had known for years, people I loved and cared for. But as I began to grow, as I began to discipline my mind and reach for something higher, I noticed a shift. They didn't want me to change because my growth was a spotlight on their stagnation. Every time I talked about my dreams, they would bring up my past. Every time I spoke about the future, they would remind me of my failures. I had to make the disciplined decision to distance myself. It wasn't because I thought I was better than them. It was because I realized that I was responsible for the garden of my mind. If you have weeds in your garden, you don't negotiate with them, you pull them out. You have to have the discipline to say no to the wrong people so you can have the space to say yes to the right ones. This requires what I call the courage to be disliked. When you start setting boundaries, when you stop going to the places you used to go and start focusing on your craft, people will talk. They'll call you stuck up. They'll say you've changed. And you have to be disciplined enough to let them be right. Yes, I have changed. I am changing because I am no longer satisfied with the version of me that was comfortable being broken, and disgusted. You have to realize that some people are only in your life to keep you company in your misery. They don't want you to get out because then they'll be alone in the dark. Discipline means choosing your destiny over your history. It means being willing to walk a lonely path for a while if it means keeping your integrity intact. You have to seek out occupy only quality people. You need to find people who are hunger-driven. People who make you feel like you haven't done enough. People whose presence requires you to step up your game. If you are the smartest person in the room, You are in the wrong room. You need to be in environments that challenge you, that stretch you, and that make you uncomfortable. Growth only happens uncomfortable zone. A disciplined environment is one where excellence is the standard, not the exception. Think about the people in your life right now. Do they challenge your excellence, or do they feed your excuses? Do they hold you accountable to your greatness, or do they help you justify your failures? If they aren't helping you grow, they are helping you die. It sounds harsh, but the graveyard is full of dreams that were suffocated by the wrong associations. You also have to discipline your physical environment. What are you looking at? What are you listening to? If you walk into your house and it's a mess, your mind will be a mess. If you turn on the television and fill your brain with junk food, entertainment that adds nothing to your soul, you are sabotaging your discipline. You have to create an environment that is a sanctuary for your success. Surround yourself with books that feed your mind. Put your goals on the wall where you can't ignore them. Listen to voices that build you up and give you the tools to overcome the world. Your environment is constantly whispering to your subconscious, telling you what you are worth and what is possible. Discipline is the act of taking control of that whisper and turning it into a shout of victory. This editing process is ongoing. As you grow, your environment must evolve. What served you at level 1 will not sustain you at level 10. You have to be willing to constantly audit your life. Ask yourself, who am I spending time with? What are they doing to me? What have they got me reading? What have they got me saying? Where have they got me going? What have they got me thinking? And most importantly, is that okay? If the answer is no, then you have work to do. It takes courage to walk away from the familiar, but you cannot discover new oceans unless you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. Build a circle of giants. Build an environment of discipline. And watch how fast your life begins to reflect the quality of your surroundings, the mastery of inner dialogue and belief. You must understand that the most important conversation you will ever have is the one happening right now inside your own head. You are talking to yourself every second of every day, and that internal narrative is either building a cathedral of success or digging a grave for your ambitions. Most people are their own worst enemies. They have a critic living in their mind that is louder than their creator. They wake up and immediately begin a litany of self-sabotage. I'm so tired, I always mess things up, I'm too old, or I'm too young. This is a lack of discipline. We think of discipline as something external, going to work, eating right, or saving money. But the most grueling discipline of all is the management of your thoughts. You have to learn to stand guard at the gateway of your mind and refuse entry to any thought that does not serve your vision. I remember when I was starting out, carrying that label of Unbreakable mentally retarded. It wasn't just a label on a school folder, it became a voice in my head. Every time I reached for something great, that voice would whisper, "Who do you think you are? You're not smart enough. You don't have the education." I had to learn to talk back to that voice. I had to discipline my tongue to stop agreeing with my fears. You see, your mind is like a fertile field. It doesn't care what you plant. If you plant nightshade, it will grow nightshade. If you plant corn, it will grow corn. The mind is neutral, but the results are not if you allow weeds of doubt and seeds of can't to take root. They will eventually choke out the I can. That is trying to bloom. You have to have the discipline to pull those weeds out daily. You have to speak life into yourself even when you feel like death. You have to prophesy your own victory even when you are surrounded by defeat. This is the discipline of belief. Belief is not just a feeling, it is a practiced habit. Most people wait for a feeling of confidence before they take action, but that's backwards. You have to discipline yourself to believe in the dark what you saw in the light. You have to hold on to your vision. When the world tells you it's impossible, you have to realize that you have a mental thermostat. If you see yourself as a level 3 person, you will never be able to handle level 10 opportunities. Your life will always gravitate back to the image you have of yourself. Therefore, the most disciplined work you can do is to expand that internal image You have to look in the mirror and say, I am a winner. I am a leader. I am a person of influence. I have greatness within me. You have to say it until you feel it, and then keep saying it until you believe it. And then keep saying it until you become it. You have to learn to talk to yourself instead of listening to yourself. When you listen to yourself, you hear your history. When you talk to yourself, you write your destiny. Think about the words you use. Words have power. Words are the clothing of your thoughts. If your thoughts are dressed in rags of only and I wish, you will never feel like royalty. You have to dress your thoughts in the robes of I will and I am. It takes radical discipline to stay positive when your bank account is negative. It takes radical discipline to stay focused when you are being criticized. But that is the price of admission for a life of greatness. You have to become a possibility thinker. You have to train your brain to see opportunities where others see obstacles. I want you to audit your vocabulary. Stop saying, I'm trying, and start saying, I'm doing. Stop saying, I'm broke, and start saying, I'm in a temporary state of financial transition. This isn't about being delusional. It's about being disciplined. You are commanding your subconscious mind to go to work on a solution instead of wallowing in the problem. Your subconscious is a servant, but it's a servant that needs a master. If you don't give it disciplined, clear, and powerful instructions, it will follow the instructions of the world. And the world will tell you to be afraid, to be small, and to be quiet. But you were not made to be quiet. You were made to make a noise. You were made to leave a footprint. This mastery of inner dialogue is a 24-hour-a-day job. It doesn't stop when the speech ends. It doesn't stop when you leave the seminar. You have to feed your mind with high protein information every single day. You have to read the books that challenge you. You have to listen to the voices that stretch you. You have to drown out the noise of the naysayers with the sound of your own conviction. Remember, the world is a reflection of your internal state. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. When you discipline your mind to believe in your greatness, the universe will begin to align itself with that belief. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. Because a mind that is disciplined and a heart that is full of belief is a force that no power on earth can stop. You are the architect of your reality. Start building something magnificent today. The evolution of growth through relentless action. There is a huge difference between being in motion and being in action. Most people spend their entire lives in motion. They're planning, they're organizing, they're getting ready to get ready, and they're waiting for the stars to align before they take that first step. But if you want to live a life of discipline, you have to understand that the universe does not reward your intentions. It only rewards your instructions, and your instructions are written in the language of action. Discipline is the bridge between the dream in your head and the reality in your hands. You can have all the talent in the world. You can have the most beautiful vision ever conceived, but if you don't have the discipline to execute, to get your hands dirty and do the work when nobody is watching, your dream will remain a fantasy that eventually turns into a nightmare of regret. I see it all the time. People who are professional students, they've been to every seminar, they've bought every course, and they can quote every motivational speaker from here to Timbuktu, but their lives haven't changed an inch. Why? Because they haven't disciplined themselves to act. They are afraid of making a mistake. They are afraid of looking foolish. But let me tell you something, you have to be willing to do it badly until you can do it well. You have to be willing to fail your way to success. Discipline is the ability to keep moving forward when the perfectionist in your head is telling you to stop. It's the grit to show up and perform when you're not at 100%. If you wait until you feel perfect or until the conditions are perfect, you will be waiting until you're in the grave. Greatness is a messy process. It's a series of calculated stumbles that eventually lead to a breakthrough. When I wanted to be a disc jockey, I didn't have a broadcast license. I didn't have a background in media. I was just a kid from Liberty City with a dream and a voice. But I had the discipline of relentless action. I went to that radio station every single day. I didn't wait for her department to call me. I made myself a fixture in that building. I would go in and say, "How can I help you?" I'd sweep the floors, I'd go get the lunch, I'd watch the DJs work the boards. I was practicing in my mind while I was moving with my feet. People thought I was crazy. They'd ask, "Luz, why are you here? You're not getting paid." And I'd tell them, I am getting paid in experience. I am preparing for an opportunity that hasn't shown up yet. That is what discipline looks like. It's the extra mile that is never crowded. It's doing the work before the reward is even in sight. You have to develop a now mentality. We live in a world of later. I'll start the business later. I'll fix my marriage later. I'll get my health in order later. But later is the place where dreams go to die. Discipline is the internal command that says, do it now. It's the ability to override the part of your brain that wants to procrastinate. Procrastination is the thief of time and the assassin of opportunity. You have to kill procrastination before it kills your future. And the only way to kill it is with action. When you feel that hesitation, when you feel that fear creeping in, that is the exact moment you must move. Don't give your brain time to talk you out of it. If you have an idea, act on it. If you need to make a call, make it. If you need to write a page, write it. The momentum created by one small action will give you the strength for the next one. This evolution of growth requires you to be a lifelong apprentice. You have to have the discipline to remain teachable. Some people get a little bit of success and they think they've arrived. They stop being disciplined in their growth. They stop taking the actions that got them there in the first place. And that's when they start to slide backward. Success is never owned. It's only rented. And the rent is due every single day. You have to keep the same hunger, the same drive, and the same relentless action at level 50 that you had at level 1. You have to keep pushing your boundaries. If you aren't growing, you are dying. There is no such thing as standing still in this universe. You are either moving toward your greatness through disciplined action, or you are drifting toward mediocrity through disciplined neglect. I want you to ask yourself, what am I doing today that is making my tomorrow better? If you can't answer that, you aren't living discipline. You're just existing. Action is the only thing that builds confidence. You don't get confident by thinking, you get confident by doing. Every time you take a step, every time you face a challenge and work through it, your confidence muscle grows. You start to realize that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. But you'll never know that if you stay on the sidelines. You've got to get in the game. You've got to be willing to get hit. You've got to be willing to get sweaty. And you've got to be willing to keep running until the clock runs out. Action is the mark of a champion. It's the signature of a soul that is on fire. Don't just be a dreamer. Be a doer of the dream. The legacy of the disciplined life, you have to realize with every fiber of your being that the discipline you cultivate today is not just a gift to yourself. It is a debt you owe to those who will come after you. Most people live as if they are the only character in their story, but a disciplined life understands that you are a pioneer, a pathfinder, and a lighthouse for your family, your community, and people you haven't even met yet. When you choose to do what is hard, when you choose to stay the course, when others are folding, you are writing a manual for someone else's survival. You are showing your children that a no from the world is just an invitation to work harder. You are showing your neighbors that where you start doesn't have to be where you finish. Your life is the only Bible some people will ever read, and your discipline is the ink. I want you to think about the people who are watching you right now. There is a young boy or a young girl in your life. Maybe it's your own child. Maybe it's a niece or a nephew who is observing how you handle pressure. Are you showing them that it's okay to give up when things get too much? Or are you showing them the power of a disciplined spirit? Legacy is not what you leave for people, it's what you leave in people. When you live a life of discipline, you leave the seeds of greatness in the hearts of everyone who witnesses your journey. You give them permission to be disciplined themselves. You break the generational cycles of just getting by and replace them with a standard of excellence. You have to understand that your greatness is a responsibility. You have been given seeds of potential that have the power to feed a multitude. But those seeds will only grow if they are watered by the sweat of your discipline. I remember my mother, Mammy Brown. She didn't have a lot of formal education, but she had the discipline of a giant. She worked hard, she kept her word, and she stayed focused on her mission to raise her children. Her discipline became my foundation. Even when I was being told I was slow or mentally retarded, I could look at her and see what it meant to be a person of substance. My discipline today is a tribute to her. Your discipline today is a tribute to the ancestors who struggled so that you could have the opportunity to dream. You owe it to them not to waste this life. You owe it to them to see how far you can go. It's a tragic thing to die and meet the version of yourself you could have been. To see the person who was disciplined, who was courageous, who was relentless, and realize that you chose comfort over that person. Living for legacy means you start thinking about the long game. Most people are living for the weekend. A disciplined person is living for the century. They are building things that will outlast them. They are creating habits that will become the culture of their family for generations. This requires a shift in perspective. You have to stop asking, what will make me happy right now? And start asking, what will make me proud 10 years from now? Discipline is the ability to sacrifice the present for a future that is vastly superior. It's the delayed gratification that is the hallmark of every great achiever in human history. When you live this way, you develop a sense of peace that the world cannot give and the world cannot take away. You gain the peace of the producer, the deep internal satisfaction of knowing that you have played your part well on the stage of life. There will come a day when your voice is silent and your hands are still. On that day, what will remain? It won't be the cars you drove or the clothes you wore. It will be the impact of your character. It will be the strength you showed when you were under fire. It will be the fact that you were a person of your word, a person of integrity, and a person who had the discipline to finish what they started. This is why you must not quit. This is why you must get back up one more time than you've been knocked down. You are building a monument of human possibility. You are proving that the human spirit, when disciplined, is more powerful than any circumstance, any economy, and any opposition. I want you to take a moment and look at the dash between the year of your birth and the year of your passing. That dash represents your life. What are you doing with your dash? Are you filling it with excuses? Or are you filling it with disciplined action? Are you letting the world define you? Or are you defining yourself through your conduct? You have the power to change your legacy starting this very second. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. It doesn't matter how many times you've failed in the past. Today is a new day. Today is the day you decide to live discipline. Today is the day you decide to be the hero that your family has been waiting for. As we look at this journey we've taken together, from the quiet command of your morning to the refining fire of struggle, from editing your circle to mastering your mind, and from relentless action to building a legacy, I want you to feel the weight of your own potential. You are not an accident. You are a deliberate creation with a specific purpose. But that purpose requires a disciplined vessel. You have to prepare yourself for the greatness that is seeking you. You have to be ready to stand in the light and say, I am here and I am ready. Reflect on how far you've come, but never lose sight of how far you can go. The journey of discipline is not a destination, it is a way of life. It is a continuous, beautiful, challenging, and rewarding process of becoming. You have everything you need within you right now to transform your life and the lives of those around you. The world is waiting for your contribution. The world is waiting for your light. Don't keep it waiting any longer. Stand up, step out, and let the world see the masterpiece that is a disciplined life. It's your time. It's your turn. And remember, it's not over until you win.